What's going on, guys? Kevincage here with another crypto update. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. We're going to dive into a bunch of alts. Alright, we got a bunch to go over, so let's kick it off. First up, shared by Constellation Network, the blockchain for government industry is expected to reach estimates between 150 billion to 1.5 trillion by 2030. Constellation Network is already utilized by government, academia, and corporations in their digitization strategies. So here we have the DoD, the Department of the Treasury, the US Department of Homeland Security, we have NASA, we have NSF. And NSF is the National Science Foundation. And we can see a while back, we have this DAO, Education and Certification, governance members, we have Genesis Block founding members, Microsoft, the Blockchain Academy, Constellation, IBM, and BioCrowd. So they funded this DAO to leverage US-based blockchain technology that's powering tokenized voting and solutions with global thought leaders. We also have right here the United States Space Force. And here we have Ben, the CEO of Constellation Network, over in DC last week at the Blockchain Summit. So we know the billions, if not trillions of dollars in opportunity for government application, enterprise-grade application. Today, the crypto asset class is primarily retail applications, tiny applications, easy to spin up, but the biggest use cases are yet to be here. And as they're saying, the fourth industrial revolution. We also know that Constellation joined the DREC Alliance alongside the Casper Association, Ripple, Algorand, Hedera, XRP Labs. If anybody has any sources or links to some recent contract talk or any developments, please let me know. If you can comment down in this video, I'd appreciate it. I'd love to take a look. Next up, shared by Good Morning Crypto, so I just saw this, Ripple, the company's latest trademark that was just filed on May 7th, hinting at a stablecoin potentially being labeled RLUSD. So he provided the link to the trademark filing right there. If we can fact check it, look at the serial number, look at some of the information, and we can see the party name as Ripple Labs. Also, just quickly touching on the Ethereum spot ETF tracker, we know the first deadline for the dates, as we can sort this really quick again, is Van Eck, taking place in 2 days. We also have some larger issuers, including Fidelity and BlackRock, for their spot Ethereum ETF. We can see their deadline is taking place in August. And yesterday's daily candle wick to wick was absolutely awesome. We saw basically a 20% increase. So what's exciting about this is we're really not too far away from the all-time high price for Ethereum. In the scheme of things, from the 2024 high, we're really just about 9 or 10% away. And in the scheme of things, we're really close to Ethereum's all-time high price, about 30% away. And when we zoom out, we can just see that waves are being drawn. Now, last cycle around here is when Bitcoin was blasting in all-time highs, drawing major moves significantly past its previous cycle top. Ethereum wasn't at an all-time high price, but it followed just a couple months later, breaking into new highs. So last cycle, Bitcoin was blasting around here into new cycle highs. During this time, Ethereum was still about 160% away from its all-time high price. What's interesting about this cycle is we are already so close to an all-time high price. We haven't seen Bitcoin draw major moves in all-time highs. I'm talking 80,000 plus, $100,000 plus. So long story short, if we want alts to run as high as possible, we want to see Bitcoin and Ethereum full send. Next up, shared by the HBAR Foundation yesterday, announcing DeFi Spring, an incentive campaign injecting up to 100 million HBAR to help scale the Hedera network. So helping to mature the DeFi ecosystem, and we went through a recent Hedera video titled Hedera Report looking at the TVL growth. So this is definitely something that I'll be keeping tabs on. Next up for Casper, so shared by Salt, taking place yesterday and today in New York for Salt's iConnections. We can see that Casper Labs is a silver sponsor, and we have Ralph Kubli, the board member at the Casper Association, speaking on tokenization. That's relevant because Skybridge Capital is not just a partner, but an investor in Casper Labs, and last I checked, they did have billions of dollars in AUM. We also know that Casper Labs CEO is going to be speaking, I believe, tomorrow, the 22nd, at IBM's Think in Boston. So I'm looking forward to any new developments, onboarded partners, things like that. We can see 5,000 attendees. We can see Renal will be joining IBM Senior VP for Products during the keynote presentation at IBM Think on May 22nd. So we know the Condor release is coming up, and we can also see that they've really updated their website to really emphasize AI governance. So we're familiar with Brave AI using Casper Network for AI governance with Watson X and IBM Cloud, and I've also seen some terminology saying Prove AI. And this is a really big use case, an actual enterprise-grade utility. I would love to see them hit the ground running, and I would love to see them go live by end of year. They have a bunch of documentation going over this, emphasizing benefits, a lot of videos we've shared before. So if you're interested to learn more, I definitely recommend watching the YouTube channel, watch the latest interview of Renal with Anthony Scaramucci, all types of things. And I think this use case is really important considering the EU AI Act and regulation is happening and it's coming, and considering that Casper Labs is a vendor for Hyperledger, is a partner with IBM, I think it's a big deal. But what I really want to see are mainnet deployments on Casper's network, not just testnet. I want to see a real live application, and the potential's there. Next up, I saw King Solomon or Ryan sharing it was awesome meeting the Algorand team, emphasizing Python, and Algorand being the first blockchain to adopt Python. And I know I've spoken about AlGo before, shared by John Woods, the CTO of ALGO Foundation, allowing for Python natively, and that's a big deal. And we can see in the Algorand Foundation 2024 roadmap right here. Now developers can use one of the most popular programming languages in the world, Python, to build on Algorand. Python, in its true native form, will open up new possibilities and expand the reach of Algorand blockchain technology like never before. And I was chatting with Ryan the other day, and I didn't even realize that Python is the #1 AI language. So from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that AlGo only allowed Teal, which was a very unique programming language. So to actually onboard users and build dApps natively using Python, that's super important. Since AlGo launched, it had some of the biggest backers in the space. It was highly anticipated. It was heavily funded by academia, corporations, etc. So it did great last cycle, and could we be seeing a comeback for Algorand? Next up, shared by Casper Wallet, get ready, Ledger for Casper Wallet is almost here. Next up, shared by the HBAR Foundation, congratulations to 3 Hedera ecosystem projects for being part of the 5 mentioned MasterCard multi-token network beta app developers. So we have Fresh Supply partnered with MasterCard, and we have this group called Invenium or Invenium, empowering the trading of private market assets. We can see over $55 million. And Viana to accelerate GDP growth of supply chains by unlocking affordable and easily accessible trade credit for every member of the supply chain. So those 3 Hedera projects are shared by MasterCard, highlighting their multi-token network for beta app developers to bring a set of tools and standards to power innovative new business models across various sectors, leveraging tokenized bank deposits. And for reference, we can see these groups right here: Invenium, Fresh Supply Co., and Viana. So what's important to note here is that Hedera Hashgraph is an example of a layer 1 network. People can build, or companies can build, applications and platforms running on Hashgraph. We're seeing more and more large companies beginning to use these applications. They're naming the companies the platforms. They don't have to go, oh hey, this is running on Hedera, it doesn't matter. So typically, when we're going for real news, real enterprise applications, we're typically not going to see a company like MasterCard go say, hey, we're using Hedera, this is the best. The reality of enterprise blockchain is nobody needs to know what network it's running on. That should all be seamless and in the background. And at least newer retail investors, they want to be spoon-fed. If they don't see verbatim what it says, oh, it's using this network, they don't buy it, but that's just not the reality of things. And maybe I'm wrong, but at least the future that I envision for blockchain adoption is there's going to be a variety of platforms and different applications that are running on a variety of networks, and we don't necessarily need to know which network it's running on. Of course, if we dig deep, we're going to understand it and maybe do speculative investments based off that, but the everyday person outside of blockchain, they're going to be using these applications, they're going to get the benefits, and the background is seamless and invisible. And I kind of have the same thoughts with Archax, so they are tokenizing Aberdeen's liquidity fund along with BlackRock. We can see different liquidity funds and treasury funds on both Hedera and Ethereum. Now maybe in this case they do in fact actually market or promote the network that they're using if it's really efficient and it works for tokenization. Because of course multi-billion-dollar funds like Aberdeen or multi-trillion-dollar funds like BlackRock, they want to promote it, they want to get liquidity. But maybe for other companies like MasterCard looking at different applications, encouraging development, they're looking for those winning applications that can save them money or even generate revenue. And these organizations are looking for the best network to do that, to provide security, proper governance, scalability. They're looking for interoperability, longevity, a network that's not going to disappear and it appears to be here for the long term. So they're looking for the best network and the best application. And across the board for a variety of different dApps, we've seen some migrate between chains. We've seen some leave Polygon and head to Hedera. We've seen some go to Optimism, all types of things. And other applications might just entirely expand. They might have initially been on one primary network and now they're plugging into all others. So I find it all super interesting. I'll try not to rant for 10 minutes here, and let's finish up with this. So this is shared by Max. Explain PEAQ network, a deep in layer 1 to a 5-year-old. And I really like these analogies, easy to understand. So I'm pretty much just going to read this verbatim, and I think this is really good and better to understand blockchain networks as a whole, not just for DePIN, but for any use case. When I was young, my brother and I used to build houses out of Lego bricks. Whenever we wanted to build a Lego house, my dad always told us to build it on one of these green boards, almost like a strong foundation. Solid enough to keep our houses standing strong and light enough to carry them to show mom when we were done. With the foundations ready, we would turn the Lego box upside down and build the craziest houses we could dream up. PEAQ is like a giant Lego city. The PEAQ blockchain is like those green foundations. It's built specifically for those bricks and houses to click into, strong enough that whatever's built on top doesn't break. PEAQ also makes the best blocks for builders so they can build any kind of house and don't need to build the blocks themselves. The buildings people build with PEAQ are focused on providing different services in the real world. They've all got to do with machines like cars, planes, wind turbines, and solar panels. Think taxi services, electricity, or Wi-Fi. Since everyone building on PEAQ uses the same kind of blocks or think of the same kind of Lego, they can click into one another easily and collaborate, and so can the Lego people and Lego cars and machines. So the entire Lego city is interoperable, it's composable. A Lego man from one house can drive to another house that someone else built and even park there, or use any Lego car or plane in the city. So PEAQ's like one big Lego city where builders come to build all kinds of crazy things, applications, and everything easily clicks into place. The more buildings that builders build, the more things that there are for Lego people to do, and the more exciting the city becomes for other builders to build in. So I love this analogy because we can imagine the network effects and the flywheel effects from this. Just wanted to share this analogy. This was actually shared by the co-founder of PEAQ Network specifically for DPIN, and I think this is the best analogy specifically for a DPIN project. So I know the PEAQ sale on CoinList ended, I think it was like $20 million, so a lot of demand. Excited to see how this project does in the future. I wish I was able to get some, but as a US resident with CoinList, you can't get any, so that's always fun. I own some Crest of the Canary Network, and I'm going to be watching PEAQ. If this enters some type of distribution phase post-launch and it dumps, I'm going to be buying some. I know there's a bunch of small cap plays in the DPIN sector, but I see PEAQ backed by Borderless, backed by DWF Labs, a lot of these big groups. I think that they're here to stay and they're going to be building something cool. We also know they were selected for MasterCard's Start Path program, so really looking forward to the future of PEAQ. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Send this market as soon as possible, please, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.